Another video for my channel today, and today is something special because there's a different setting going on. It's actually my whiteboard right here. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about mathematics. So basically, just explain why math is important and why people should know a little bit of math and what math actually does for us. So I actually wrote down some bullet points right here. That is, what is math? Why do we need it? Where do we need it? And what would the world look like if math wasn't there? What would happen? You know, like, how would the world look like? What would we be doing? So let me just start off by saying that you people, like most of the biggest part of the population, just say that math is numbers. So I don't know, 3 1/4. So that's a number. That's a fraction. Can also, which that's also the nice thing about math. You can also write this as a different term. You can also write this as this and this is actually equal. And so, you know, there's pi. There's the number e, also known as Euler's number. And you know, there's infinite numbers, you could say. And so the question is, what is math? Well, math is not just numbers, but math, or those numbers, actually represent something. So numbers usually go with units. There we go. Numbers go with units. So what we actually, like, when we say a length, for example, 3 meters, so that's a unit. 3 times 1 meter. Or we have, I don't know, weight, 5 kilograms of bananas. So basically, we use this to quantify how much. We use numbers to quantify how much we have of something. And so, for example, if, just one quick example here. So if we, let's say your mom told you to go to the supermarket and told you to buy bananas, and math was never invented, or let's say weight wasn't invented, or a scale to measure something was not invented, to weigh something was not invented, then you would just come back with a random set of bananas, random number of bananas, but your mom would say, okay, those are bananas. But that's why we invented math, because it makes things easier. I can say, go to the supermarket and get this many kilos of bananas, or I can say get this many bananas, or I can say whatever. But that is basically what math is. So math is basically something that simplifies or makes it better to look at, to understand something. Measurement of length, measurement of weight, measurement of anything, basically. Alright, why do we need it? So math, we actually need math for everything in our world. Like, even the camera that I'm recording with right now, you need math for that. You need math to calculate how the lens should, which curvature the lens should have, or how many lenses you need, or what does the sensor look like in there. You know, the sensor is this kind of rectangular thing, where I'm not a physician or anything like that, but the sensor is basically just when the light comes into the lens, then the sensor processes these signals and makes it and turns them into electrons, which you can basically just store as information on a videotape, just like right now. So that's what the sensor does, I think. Yeah. So this is all what we need math for, and we need math for anything. Also, for my watch, you need math. You need to, okay, which parts am I going to put in? I mean, you could also, you know, we could also just be back in ancient Rome, or we just have a circle and we have a stick out of there, and according to where the sun is, the stick's shadow is gonna cast towards, you know, the corresponding time. But that's a very inefficient way of, and even for that you need math. You can also say, okay, it's, you know, whatever, it's 8 o'clock for in this example. So math is everywhere, guys. And last point on the list is, what would the world look like without math? Well, number one, there would be no homes, and no cars, no bicycles, nothing, no transportation, no, not there would be nothing. People would still be sitting in groups at a campfire and just saying, okay, here's a fire, here's some wood, and I can actually light that on fire, and it's just gonna burn. That's what we would be doing, and people would just hunt for food. But there would be no innovation, no nothing, no real intelligence behind. Of course, humans would be intelligent in a way that they would know, okay, it's cold outside, I need to dress. How am I gonna hunt for that specific animal? You know, they would know these kind of things, these kinds of things. But they wouldn't be very like. I don't think it would be a very advanced species because we would not differ a lot from animals then, because animals are basically doing the same. They're also hunting for food, and that's what they're doing. So that's the nice thing about humans, I think, that we can actually look at math and learn something from it. So to summarize this, I would say that math is very important for everybody to know, and not in detail. Like, people do not need to know how this number, exists or why this number exists. Like, that's not really like my point. My point is, math is also teaching critical thinking, and that's what I think is very important, because math, like, again, like, this is the same as this. So you have a problem, basically. So there's one problem, this is the problem, X is the problem, and here's the solution. You know, the tick is the solution. But then you can take this path, but then you can take so many paths to get to that solution, and that's basically what maths does for us. So you can take any path from your problem and approach it in so many ways, but still get the solution. And that's so nice about math. Everybody can have their own way of actually solving something. And so, yeah, I just think that math is very beautiful. I think everybody should know basic math at least. And I also think that education is not very perfect in this matter, because when people think about math in school, they only think about, math again. I'm gonna have to calculate something again. No, you're not calculating. Actually, you are calculating, but you're solving a problem. You're problem solving. You're solving. Okay, this is my problem. How am I gonna get to the solution? And that's exactly what math is teaching you. And to actually, I don't want to just yap. So I actually found something online, which I actually want to solve to show you guys how fat math can be.